So I have good luck sometimes and bad luck sometimes trying to illustrate the example that you just saw in the previous video. This problem that can occur, it doesn't always occur, it all depends on the situation. This problem that can occur if you have two sprites both looking for the other sprite. So right now, again, notice this carefully. I'm in the fish. The fish says if I'm touching shark 2, hide, wait, go away. And the shark simultaneously is saying, as I'm playing, if I'm touching the fish, make the bite sound. Here is why having both sprites looking for the other one can sometimes cause problems. And you saw this in the last video, at least twice each. I saw a situation where the shark ate the fish disappeared, but the sound effect never happened. And I'm going to explain that one. There's a similar explanation for why the opposite would happen, which is why the fish would, shark would touch the fish, we would hear the bite, but the fish wouldn't go away. Let's take it from the perspective of this. We think about this as massively parallel, right? This idea that the fish is running a little program, and the shark is running a little program, and the stage is running a program, and everything is happening at once. And that's not completely true. In Scratch, there is only one process that can possibly be running at a time. In the days of CPUs and running all of this on a CPU on your computer, the idea was the CPU could only do one thing at a time. Of course, modern computers happen to frequently have multiple CPUs, but the reality is, even if there's multiple CPUs in your computer, Scratch is only getting to run on one of them. Okay? And so here's what happens. It's not actually true that the fish program and the shark program and the game, the stage program are all running at the exact same time. Instead, there's this thing going on called time sharing and slicing. What happens is that the CPU says to the fish, you have the CPU, run your program. And so the fish gets to start running this loop. And so this happens for a little bit. And somewhere in that process, the CPU says, okay, stop, you've had it enough. Now it's time for the shark to have a little bit of a turn. And so the shark comes over and it gets to run its code. And it runs it for a little bit. And after a while, the CPU says, stop, now it's the backdrop's time to run. And of course, there's nothing really here running, so it very quickly goes back to the fish. And so only one of these is happening at a time. And the problem can occur when the fish detects the shark first. Because notice that the very first thing that happens is if the fish and the shark happen to run into each other when the fish has the CPU, then the fish says, I'm touching the shark, and it hides. And as soon as it hides, it's no longer considered touching the shark. And so if the shark has control at this point, and it says, I'm touching the fish, then it says, okay, I'm touching the fish. Well, wait, I'm not touching the fish because the fish is hidden. And so therefore, the bite sound effect doesn't happen. And so when it worked properly for us, what was happening is that the shark was detecting the fish first. The shark detected the fish and started the sound effect going. But the shark and the fish both stayed on the screen at the same time here. So eventually we go over to the fish and the fish says, oh, okay, hide, and everything works fine. When we saw the fish disappear and didn't hear the sound effect, it was because the fish noticed the shark first and hid. And so by the time the shark got control, the shark was no longer touching the fish, so we didn't hear the sound effect. You might say, under what circumstances would the shark detect the fish, play the sound effect, but the fish doesn't go away? How would that happen? That's actually a fairly new fluke I haven't seen in a long time. What actually happens there is this. What's actually happening is that the shark detects it's touching the fish. It plays the sound effect. But in the meantime, it then comes back around and says, hey, keep pointing toward the mouse pointer and move. And so I believe that what's happening is it's barely touching the fish. It's starting the sound effect, but it moves 3 pixels and then moves off the fish before the fish gets control of the CPU again. And because of that, by the time the fish asks the question, am I touching the shark, they've actually moved apart again. That's rare, but we saw it happen. Okay, so this video explained why we have a problem. Now in the next video, let's explain how to fix the problem.